Welcome back to another Waynos Fotos video, and this video is about the 33mm lens right here. Now, this one I've just received it yesterday, so I've only been able to do like the focus test, the out of focus test, and the pan test so far. I haven't got any real world tests. But before we go too far, just one thing that I've just found out this morning, like 5 minutes before I started making this video, is due to the extension here at the back of this lens, the EF, if you want to put the EF mount on this camera, the EF mount will not work with a Canon original adapter to EF to RF. The inside diameter is too small. By about 3mm, it will not fit in and engage. So you try to put it in and it just won't go in far enough. So I would love to use these on my Canon RF cameras. If anyone has an adapter, an aftermarket adapter they know works with this EF lens, I would love to know what that is so I can get one. And also be aware, if you're buying this and you're going to want to put the EF adapter on and you're intending to use it on Canon RF cameras, then you probably will need to get something different than the original Canon adapter. So it's just something to be aware of if you're buying this lens, which I learned out just yesterday from my own experience. Now, talking about the dimensions of the lens, this little lens here, it's quite a bit bigger than the 45, which is on my R3 right now, my Canon R3, EOS R3 should I say, and it's almost as big as the 100mm. So if we compare it to the 100mm, which I've got right here, and you look at the size, they are almost identical. This cap here that fits on the bottom is actually a longer one, EF cap, than this cap here. And with the caps on, this one here is almost as long as the 100mm. And it's quite a heavy lens, the 33. So it has some quirks, this little lens, and probably has some little workarounds. But saying that, after seeing on my Lumix S5 too, using my dumb adapter, which is the K and F concept of $40 Australian lens, it fits, right? That fits okay. So just an experience, I originally compared it to my 45, and it is a tiny bit sharper. I wouldn't say it's a big difference, but you can see that this lens here is slightly sharper than the 45 in the center. So if you're worried about sharpness, this lens is actually pretty good. Now, the other thing that I've done for you guys, because there's always that question about sharpness, I've done a sharpness test. So that'll be coming, and I did it at 33 centimeters, and then I also did it at 80 centimeters, and I went from 1.8 to T11 with some intermediate stops. I didn't do every stop, and I also did a pan test. And when you do pan, the edges being a further distance away from the lens, because such a wide lens, are not in focus once you get to the edge. So that is something to, when you tilt the camera like this, you'll actually see that when I pan, and you'll be able to see the distortion of the lens. I'm fine with that. That's part of the character. That's why I bought these lenses, and it looks pretty good. So that's the 33 lens, and now we're going to shoot over, and we're going to look at those tests. Well, that is the test, guys, and as you can see, it is really quite nice, even being such a wide lens. Because it's 1.8, you can get quite a nice out of focus area. With the wider lens, that's harder to do, so that's really nice. I really like this lens. I've got a 16mm, and that lens, even though it's really wide, it doesn't give the look that this gives, and I really like the look of it. I haven't done any real world tests, just got it. That'll be coming. Now, what we're going to do now is, because I can't fit it on my Canon cameras as yet, because I haven't got an adapter that will allow this to fit in, then I'm going to take my Canon camera off the stand that is filming me right now with a 45mm on it, and we're going to switch over to this one onto the Lumix camera, and we're going to then go and play with that light that you see right up the back there, and we're going to go and see what sort of flares we can get with the different cones on, and see what sort of flares this produces. Okay then, guys, I'll just get the camera switched over, and then we can get on to see what the flares look like on this little baby. Well, okay guys, we're on the Lumix camera now on the S5 II, and we've got the 33mm on right now. Now you can see the difference in perspective compared to the 45mm. You can see a hell of a lot more. And what we're going to do is I've just got the light up the back here, very light, so we've got a light flare. I think it's only about 15%. I can't really confirm that, but it's quite low, and that's a 60 watt nanolight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and crank that up, and then I'm going to come back, and then we're going to see the flares and how they work. And at the moment, it's got a little cone on it. It's got no cone on it. We're going to put the cone on, and we're going to see the different types of flares. But first of all, I'm going to increase the intensity so we can see what that flare looks like. Well, there we go. We've increased the intensity of that light. And as you can see, we're starting to get that thin line. And as I've mentioned before, depending on the modifier you put on these lights, you can change the type of flare that you get. And in this case here, you can see it's quite thin when there's no modifier on at all. Now I'm going to go and put the little modifier on, and we'll be able to see how that changes it. Okay, so that is with, it's the little modifier. I'll bring it over in a minute, but I'm going to change it also to a bigger modifier to put on. And as you can see, it makes the flare a lot wider. So you can control the flare, guys, by the type of modifier that you put on your lights. Rather than just using a phone, I think this is more real world to how you would probably light, because we're not running around using phones when we're doing real projects. Okay, well, just before I go over there, this is the big modifier, and I'll bring over the little modifier in a minute. As you can probably see, guys, still in my pajamas and got my pajama bottoms on. That's how I turn around these videos for you guys. I got this thing yesterday, first thing in the morning. I'm looking at this lens and I'm getting that information out to you as soon as possible. Anyway, well, here's a little modifier that was just on. And as you can see now, we've got the big modifier on, and it gives a different look. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, the other thing is, well, depending on where the focus is, from my previous videos, we found that the flares change. So what we're going to do now is we're going to focus out onto that lens. So as you can see, as I change the focus, we get the lines, the specific lines coming out of those little reflector squares that are inside the barrel of the light, and it gives it a little bit of a different look. So when it's in focus, you get like a lot of lines. When it's out of focus, it's one big streak. So if we bring that back to focus onto me, then you can see that I think it's about there. I think it's pretty close, guys. I'll just see if I can zoom in on the camera. There we go. That's one good thing I love about these Lumix cameras. You can have the zoom in like a part of the frame, like a box, a picture-in-picture type thing, and you can still be recording. You can't do that on the Canon camera. So that's one thing Lumix have really done. The Lumix cameras really feature-filled their cameras. But that is for another video to talk about the Lumix, and there is some issues I've found with that camera. But that's another video, guys. So that's it. That's the flares. That's the 33mm, as you can see, with the big flares on, and with the little cone on, and with no cone on a cob light, which is a Nanlite 60. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go and turn the light down and turn it up, and you can see the difference as we increase and decrease the intensity of the light. Well, that's it, guys. That's first looks. That's the 33mm, which is on my Lumix camera right now. And that's first looks. I will be doing some real world videos with this and talking about any quirks or anything that I find with the lens, using it in the field. And obviously, be aware if you've ordered this, and you're intending to put the EF mount on it and use it on Canon adapters, it does not fit. Okay then guys, so that's the initial information I've got once I've received this lens, and stay tuned because I'll be doing a review on the S5 II working primarily with anamorphic lenses, and I'll also will be doing some real world tests with 33mm. That's where I'm going to leave it guys, and I'll see you next video.